Hi everyone. Today we'll look at the core data management. So in many cases, the mobile apps may want to manage the data. For example, the fetching the data, inserting or deleting the data. Data is not only temporarily remains on your applications and destroyed, but we want to save it in a local cell phone devices. Okay, we call that persistent data. So using core data, we want to develop persistent data management on our smartphone applications. There are a few ways that we can make our cell phone data persistent. The data may be coded on your the Swift coding list. That is also possible. But the data, in that case, the data remains on your cell phone only the value that hard-coded. So every time your cell phone is reactivated, the same data will be used. So it is not persistent. Last week we implemented the hard-coded data for especially the applications that is authentication, user login authentications. There we implemented how we can use the data in hard-coded approach. In addition to that, I wanted to recall that we use camera data, so photo data also stored on your the device. There's a very primitive ways that we can make our cell phone data persistent. Another way that we can think of that approach is the object synchronization, but we're not going to work on this much here. So we've done this, but we're not going to do this in this the module. The third approach is the local data. Local database may be used. We call that core data. So we use a core data model, and this is what we want to do today. Okay, so we want to work on this. And then the other one that we will do also, there is a remote database can be used. So assuming that cloud server runs a database, and where there is a middleware, so we can access the data and receive the result of database query processing in JSON data formats, so we can use it. This is coming, not today. So what we'll do today is the local database. Okay. In our implementation, not only using the local database, and also how we can include the image in our local device so that we can use it. This image is not the same as the camera photo images. This is we manage the camera devices that's available on our excuse me, on our cell phone device. This is a simply, let's say, image file is available, then how we can upload it on our the cell phone applications, and we can retrieve it. Okay. So, in order to use the local device database, particularly that is SQLite. Excuse me. So from the beginning, we need to set here. So when we start our project, this is a product name. We call that access local DB images, and all others remain the same. And here, this is a Swift, and interface is Swift UI, and then storage, that is local data. I don't think we need this for test, and others that you can set for yours. Okay, and then click the next button to start. First, we have to I think I got a cold. All right, hopefully I'll be okay. Okay, so we have to develop a simple database on our device. How we can access the database, that I will explain that later. But assuming that if it is available, then on our cell phone apps, there is I want you to click so database, the symbol here like this, and then that database name by default the same name as your project, access a local DB image, so same name, and click this, then you can see the entity pane, and I want you to, whatever the name appear here, probably by default it is called the items. So I want you to change this to your entity is nothing but the table name, and database name is given. You can change this database name, but we simply use the same ones. Okay, and then here I want to change it table name for user. By the way, we'll look at the same thing as we did for previous applications. Let's look at the authentications, but using different data, credential data. Previously, we looked at the hard-coded credential data, but today we'll look at credential data that's available on our cell phone device. It's not necessarily a physical cell phone device, but your emulator device, that's possible. That's okay. Okay. So table name is a user, and attributes by default timestamp is already set, so we simply use that once. Don't change it, because the timestamp, then that is the key that we can use. I mean, that's this user use this timestamp as a key. This is identifiable. And then we can add two more attributes, username and password, both in string type. Okay. And then another tab here is, I wanted to look at, if you click this table, but for each table, remember here in this utility pane, so that you can bring up that entity. Entity is nothing but table. Table name is user. And then there is a class code generations mode. In this mode, I want you to click manual/none mode. This is the code generations. Okay. There are other way that you can generate the code, data model code, but we simply use the manual way. There's automatic ways. Then every time when you change it, you have to redo this. So there's some pros and cons. Let's just start with this manual approach. After this is also very, very important. Then generate the class by clicking. Your data model class has not been generated. By clicking this, then you may be able to see some of the files automatically generated, which is very, very handy. You don't have to worry about much. We simply change a little bit to maximize some of the functionalities. That's what we are going to do. On top of your Xcode, there is an editor menu on top, and find out create NS managed object subclass. So that subclass is generated, which is called here, I think this is a, this guy already know, right? So you simply make sure that is clicked, and then you can generate. The code generations, there are three options: manual, or class definition, or category extension approaches. Manual is manually created and maintain the change of NS managed object subclass. So this is automatically that can be done. When you have this, then you have these two files generated. So this is very handy, right? Another way that is automatic generations. So class is defined automatically. Third approach is so only one way auto generates, the other one manually. So we don't really do this. For this implementation, we're going to use this manual approach. Okay, then this persistent file is automatically generated. Remember these two files generated. Table name, user CoreData class, user plus CoreData property. That's what we are talking about. Entity, so user plus CoreData class dot Swift file automatically generated, and then user plus CoreData properties dot Swift. Those two files are automatically generated, and also persistent this file is generated. This file is generated, but a couple of things you have to make sure that carries over the way that we want to do. by default, this table name is not automatically changed. So manually, we have to change this because table that we are going to work on is a user. So let's put here user. And also the initialization of this persistent controller in memory, the container should be here NS persistent container. The container name, this is the database name. So you need to put your database name here. Therefore, next time when you have this container information, for example, container persistent storage description, that's this one. In your memory, I mean the container, there is a persistent store description, persistent storage. That is nothing but name this. Okay, access local dbimg. Remember, this is by default. If we don't change it, that carries. We need to say this. Okay, if we change this, then you have to change that also. Whatever the database name that you would like to have. Okay, so this persistent data has that information. So this is a database, and this is a table. All others, you don't need to worry about much. Another thing that I want you to know, remember that as you create your CoreData, and all the files are automatically generated, and also you modified some of the data in the persistent Swift file. This is a persistent Swift files, right? But you want to manually go to SQLite database and touch whatever that you want to do, then you need to see the location of that, right? That's in order to get to that location, then you have to include this the code. If URL is a store description.url, then I want you to get that URL.path, print this URL.path. Then when you build your app on your Xcode, then this information will be printed. There you can find out the path expression to that particular database location. So we go to that location and open up SQLite, and manually that we can see what has been done. Okay. So once you get there, then we can open up SQLite. Then you may be able to see automatically timestamp, first timestamp, and then you can enter manually John, whatever the username here, and then password here. So all the attribute name shown on this SQLite begins with the Z timestamp, Z password, Z username. Okay, so you can add manually the value for the first record of this. You can add your credential, so your password and your in this case we didn't encrypt or decrypt here. Okay, we simply enter manually John and Yoon. John is used as a password for the username Yoon. Once you enter this manually, then make sure I think this button This button is for delete. This button is for insert. This is an insert. This is for delete. Okay. Remember that although this is inserted or deleted, the data states is available in transient state. It is not yet persistent. In order to make it persistent, you have to click this right change button. In that way, your data will be persistent. Okay, this is manually done. Once we have that, then also this is the project name. Then you have this file automatically generated, and there is this is an entry point of your access applications. And when it comes to here, then the next the file to be run is this content view, right? And then there's the environmental settings. This is automatically generated, but anyway. So we have a persistence control container. This is where database is located, right? And this is here a Swift UI property wrapper. This is a wrapper information, and then this is a MS managed object context. This is the CoreData, the reference, right? And then there is a variable called view context. View context assigns the environmental values to the variable view context. So we can use this variable throughout this class. See here, therefore, we have a view context. So environment manage the view context. So first, the file that we can see is a content view. If I show that to you, here's a content view, right? So persistent file and content view. We looked at the persistent file. We looked at this file, access the local DB image app file. We looked at this database, access the local DB image database. Now we will look at this finally. Okay, content view. So this content view, there is a structure. So we set the environment. We also need to define here fetch request. This is also a property wrapper. This can retrieve the CoreData object. NS sort descriptor. There's a key path. User dot timestamp. This is a table name and timestamps. So that sorts the result of the user table records based upon timestamp. Okay, in certain order. Usually ascending order based upon timestamps. So ascending true. In this way, that is shown in ascending order. Animation by default set, which means when database is updated, this is the code, right? Database is sitting behind. So when database is updated, then by animation, automatically that update, the current state will be accessed by this. Okay, so updates of Swift view automatically when the underlying data is changes. So always you to define how the result should be sorted and filtered by having this. This is very important statements. And then you can say the fetched result based upon this table, we call that items. So user, each record in the table user, we call that items. Okay, each single item is a single item, but entire set, a set of records is called items. So items is a variable that we can use. Like this fetch request, how can we fetch a particular records rather than entire records like this? In this case, therefore, we make it ascending order based upon timestamps. So we call that items. But if we make this more specifically, then everything comes here, and then we declare predicates, NS predicate formats in this formats. Username equals some variable, but that variable is nothing but John. So if username is John, I want to fetch it. Animation is true by default, which means whenever the data changes, that we access that updated current data. That's what we do. And then when it describes here in the navigation view, so by clicking that we can see in the list, for example, items is nothing but a set of records, set of user records, right? So for each record in the user's records set, we want to describe timestamps, username, and password in this formats. And if anything, any item in this list, if that is set to be deleted, then we need to call this function, delete items. Anytime that we want to say plus add item, then we need to call this function. This is the function name. Okay. And also edit button. This is a plus, so plus sign comes up. Edit button is also comes up, but that's on the trailing on the right, for the right hand side. Add item and delete items, that's a function. Add item and delete items, that's that comes from here. Edit items and delete item, that function defined here. Again, add items, then new item, user. So date is assigned to the timestamps. Currently only timestamp, but if you want to add more about the user, then that should be added here. And then save it. If it is deleted, then we need to say to find out offsets. So there's an index set containing the indices of that item to be deleted. So go to that once, and then if we find it, so that first one, that is deleted. For each of those deleted. Every time the top one is deleted. And then after that deleted, then we need to save it. This item formatter is defined, which is here timestamps. If it is a username, we simply write it a username. If it is timestamps, then time is in particular formats, right? Item formatter. This is another the description here. Item formatter, that is a title, date formats. What it does is that we create an object of data formatter. We call that formatter. In date formatter, two fields can be set. Date style is in short format. Time style is medium formats. Whatever the formats is, you can make it long styles of date styles or short style. This is some specific the style of the format, because that is the date. We have a date, then year, month, and date, and time. Time also, maybe it could be 24-hour time or 12-hour time, AM, FM, hour, minute, second, and even further detailed time. Dates also, maybe longer time, longer date style, then there may be days, Monday through whatever the days, and then even month, maybe January, February. So different styles of descriptions that can be specified. We can choose that. So already defined. We don't really define this. We simply use it, right? This is something already available that we use. This is a preview formats. This content view may be displayed. That's what it is. Then you can see here first initial timestamps. This is the short. So we have, rather than long format, March 27, it says 3/27/25. It's not 2025, the year, rather than 4 digits, only 2 digits. And also time styles, this is a medium time styles. So 1:45, 1 hour PM, 1 o'clock, 45 minutes and 31 seconds. This is the format style of the dates. Okay, so if you click this, there is a right arrows here, greater than sign. If you click this, then you can see the details of that. This is timestamp, and then user ID and password. What happens here, remember that in the first text we say item at, second text user ID colon, third one password colon, followed by that data. So that appears. If you click this, then it navigates to the next view. So this is the navigation view. It goes to next view in those 3 lines of text. So you can see these lines of text because this is a navigation view. By clicking this back button, you can come back here. Okay. Anyway, if you do plus sign, then you can add more. If you click edit sign, click edit, then you can see editable button up here. So if you click this edit, then that will be deleted. So what happens here, that button, so edit button, okay, that's this edit button is for this undeleted, that goes to this delete item. So on this delete items, that particular delete mark, particular delete mark to be clickable. If it is clicked, then this entire row will be deleted. So that is this. That index, particular index, that is deleted. And then we'll do a little more than that because in the content view, user is not user addition is not implemented. For this, up to this, we don't do much. So almost all those things are provided by initial step. Now we want to implement a small module to add a new user. In the content views, this is same as before. Okay, this is a little simpler. Item.user name. If it is existed, then we use username. If it is not, then we can say, instead of doing anything, we can say unknown user. Okay. And then one thing, I guess, if we need username and password, this is a new variable that we can define that here. Others remains the same. And somewhere here, toolbar items, the first one is the edit button that goes to delete buttons. And next one is add item with that system symbol plus sign. The action is not simply the previously we didn't do, right? So previously what we did here, add item. When it comes to add item, we don't do much about this. Okay, so we don't really add user ID and password. User ID and password. We simply do timestamps. So we need to do here. We want to use is adding a new item that toggles. This is add item. Add the user view. Okay, so is adding new item is another variable is adding new item, so Boolean values. By default, that is false. But if that item is toggle means it can be changes by clicking one time. Initially, if it is false, but if you click it, then it'll turn to true. If you click again, then go back to false, true, false, true, false, like toggle button. Okay, so that's based upon that toggle buttons. Then you can use this function. There you present this that toggle buttons and go to this add user views. So add user view is new, coming here in this add user view. This add user view will receive two values from the previous. So two values is presented. This is it's like a function call. This is caller function use these variables. This is variables, but used by caller function. Remember that function can be. It's not function. This is a constructor, right? So that constructor. This is presented. There is a Boolean values, view context, that is a MS managed object context. In that way, we can use the core data. So back here, the view context is nothing but view context. Remember that view context is already defined in the previous somewhere. Right, in this environment, this is a view context, which is a managed object context that here persistent controller.container, that's in view context. That is the core data container. So that is used here. So two things given from the previous. And then we have username and password defined in this another, you can say class or struct. Body of that. So when user add function, when this toggle plus sign is clicked, then it activates this objects of that class. What that class can do here, that is a new view. Again, navigation view in the form. Form is nothing but another container that organizes multiple user input control into scrollable list. So we can type on it, right? In the form, there's two sections. Upper section, we put their username and password. In username in text field, password in secure field, so it doesn't show. Head of that section, we call that user detail. And then next section, the bottom section, there's a button, user save. If it is button, save button is created, then this add user button is, this function is activated. So add user function here. When it comes to that add user, then add user here, with the animation, we can put their user data and password and login name and save. Okay, the others remains the same. So this add user is within this different class add user view, and this item is not necessarily used, so you don't need to delete this if you like. But anyway, if you delete this, then what happens here? Yeah, nothing happens, right? Okay. So add user that. So by having that additional class, if you click this, then you can see, if you click this plus buttons, this toggles, then it goes to add a new user. This is a form. Form has two sections. Upper section we have title, user details, and username. This is a text field. This is a secure field. And then another section, button, save user. So you enter this and click save user. Then it is saved. And next time, then you can see, initially if we have two items, two records in that user database, by having this, another records here, one more additional. So if you click the third one, then you can see this third one. Okay, here Mercy U, and then whatever the password, cyber. Okay. So we can even further to go to part 2, more a little more complicated ways we can improve more, but let's stop here to do a little bit of the implementations. Okay, so let's do that. So we simply start from the beginning, somewhere here. Okay, so I'm going to push this a little. I want to make this smaller. Make somewhere here. Okay, create new application. I want to make this is an app, so click on next. So I want to say this access local DB image comes in later, and then Swift UI Swift and the storage CoreData all okay, and then click on next button, and I want to save that class 25. All right, so because we chose the CoreData, so we automatically have these things, right? CoreData access. This is automatically done. And I add item here and delete item there. Okay. For example, if we didn't do anything, but if we run this, still there is something that you can see. Here, fail CI item for app, or okay. Yeah, there is a 0 event name, so we have to do a little bit more to activate that. All right. So as it says, we need to first to look at the database here. Initially, it is simply an item by double clicking that. So we call that user. Hit enter. And then there is attributes by clicking plus sign to add, so that we have a new attribute comes up here. So we say username, and then type, choose string, and then we add one more by clicking plus sign plus button. This kind of toggle buttons, right, that we explained already. And then here password, and then that is also string. Remember that we have to do a little more here. Clicking user, and up there button, inspection button, there's a user, and then there's a code gen. This code gen that I wanted to choose a manual. Okay, and then come back here, editor, and then create NS manage the object subclass button menu from that editor top menu, and then make sure that is access local db img. This is a database name, and click on next, and click on that, and then you can say create there. So far we have this, then you will have another comes up here. Remember this thing, two there, right? You can leave it there, or you can leave it inside of that. That's fine. Anyway, this two already given, right? You don't need to do much. And the persistent file, remember this, it is not item. By default it was item, but we change it to user, so we call it user here. And then another one, maybe this is okay. Access a local db img, that is fine. All right. In this init, in memory, persistent db. Remember that I ask you to change that is there, and here in this init container I want you to add that, right? So what we need to do, we want to use this store description. If there is an error, then fatal error, and after that, then we need to put here, say, print the location of my local database. And then you can say if let URL equals store description.url, and then you can simply print my core data database file location, and then you can say URL dot path. Maybe simply path, not path function. Okay. Let's see how it works. Oops, there is a cannot find the in item. Oh, here. Fetch. Oh, this should be user. Okay. Then we need to change this to also user. Okay, that should be user. Okay, there's no error, so we can build. So if we do plus, then comes up, right? But probably there is no username and password. We simply add, by clicking this right now, only if you see here, then add a user. Add a user, we simply use timestamp only, right? Therefore, we have here timestamp. If you click this, then we need to see only the timestamp. There is no user, anything. We didn't work on this yet, right? At this point, so we can see the location of that database. Remember here, my core data database file location. That's what we said here. My local file location. It shows me the path of that location, right? So I want to click, I highlight all up to this SQLite, copy, and then come back here. I wanted to go to folder, and then copy it. The one that was the previous ones, right? Copy that and hit enter. Then you can see this. Open it by double click it. Then you can see this file, this data structures. Remember that here it has a user, table user. Table user has a timestamp, password, and username. Those are we created, right? All others are so-called catalog database. That database already created by itself to manage the database by SQLite. It is not something that we use. It is something managed by SQLite only. So if you click here, browse data, then as you can see here, timestamp only, right? So that's added. Timestamp 7640. This is a timestamps, but we changed that timestamps in the something data style in short format, so that we have a month, date and year, and then time in medium. That is what it is. Okay, and then we can add manually here password, for example, John, enter, and username Yoon, manually we can add, and then we can say here we insert that. Oops, we don't need to. I think it is delete. We already inserted here, and then we can click on this right change. Then this will be persistent in our database. I'll push this aside a little bit. Okay. And then I will push this aside also. Okay, so we've done something a little bit. And then what we need to do, we already changed that, right? We changed the user plus system plus, and we worked on this, right? Remember that we already, if we run, if we do edit this, then we can, if I click this, then button, so that we can delete if we want. Okay, add and deletes. Done. We still keep it. Okay. That's what we done, and then we need to implement, right? So a little bit more on that content view. Yeah, only we change the content views here. So in this content view, I do not want to this. Make it a little wider. If you do not want to this preview, what you need to do is you can highlight this and comment it, then it'll go on. Okay, so I want to make a the later ones that add new new structure or new class. Remember that add user views, so we can have user details, username and password, and simply we add really add new ones. Okay. So, and also I want you to put here in this text three things that I want you to have. But actually, two more text. So these things should be here, 2 more text. And then these 3 text items, I want you to put here embed v stack. They're not really all together. I want to put this above. And this v stack has alignment. No. Alignment is a leading. Then I do not want others. But spacing maybe 10. And those are things there, and then I can have here padding. On the delete item toolbar, we have this is okay, but these additions, not simply do that add item. If you go to add item, then only timestamps is added. So what I want to do here, I want to have some of it is adding some of the Boolean values. New item toggle. Okay, in that actions, then rather than label, we need to make a add user views is presented. What we want to present here is that variables is adding new item, and then view text, that is a view context. Is adding view, that should be this should be declared. So at the top here, state private show the site is adding new item, that is Boolean, and initialize false. Therefore why we needed this twice. Let's see what happens. Oops, why? Only edits. Oh, there is no. I think we need to have that. Yeah, this should be done. Should be done here. Here, dot sheet. Is presented. Then say here is adding item, and then we don't do others here. Here we need to add this over there, and instead this remains the same as before. So we can say label add user and system image equals plus. Okay, and I want to replace. Okay, so we have this. So if you click this, oh, here. So we have add user. Put here, say Mercy, password, cyber, and save user, and see if it is saved. Yes, we have a Mercy cyber that is saved. If we click the previous ones, then John Yun, that is saved. So if we bring our database, and we have to, this is not updated. So if we go back and come back, yeah, then we have here John Yun and Mercy and cyber. Two things there. So either manually we can add here, for example, add here 1 and 1. I do not know this number, but let's say make this copy, because I do not know what is. And then password, say computer, and username is Manhattan. Then write change it. So I changed it. So if I want to rerun this, then I have 3 of those, right? So last one, if you click this, there's a Manhattan and computer password. Either you can add here that reflects to the real database, SQLite, or you can update the SQLite itself. Then that can be by animation, that can be automatically available on your app. Okay. Okay. So if you click edit, if you want to remove any of these, we can also remove it. So for example, I want to delete the last one, which just created from this database manually. So I click here to delete. So when I come back here, web browser, then I do not have that one here, right? Because it is deleted. and I can add more. So the one that we used to, for example, Manhattan for empty, and then password computer, and save user, and therefore we're done here. So we have here empty and computer, and we want to check whether it is really reflected here. So I'm gonna come back and here, then I have here, right? Computer and an empty. All right. I hope you can make this also. Here's what I want you to submit as an evidence of your implementation. Not only thing is this, when you have done, I want you to make a the zip of this. This is the file, right? So you need to make a compress and submit this once. Not only that, I want you to show a real emulator. I think it is hidden. Yeah, emulator here. So one of these here, what should I do? I think yeah, you can show it to me, both this and that, showing together the screenshots. So command shift and number 4, then you will have this. So you can make a some of the screenshots like this. Okay, so this is something that you already made. This is the screenshots. Okay, as you can see here, screenshots, right? This screenshots shows your real the CoreData database on your device, and this is the emulator. So what we did last week, local database in this mod, local database. And today we will look at remote database. Okay, this is what we want to do today. Okay, so like this is for today's lecture. Okay, what we want to do here, what we want to include, we want to include the images, photo images. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot this. Not this. This is for the remote access, right? What we want to do here, the local database, we're still working on the CoreData and make it persistent. And then today we'll include the image. Okay. Not only the database access, but also how we can include the image in our local device. That's what we want to do. So this remains the same. We have CoreData like last week, and also as you looked at, we have, for example, real database there, right? In SQLite. This is a DB browser for SQLites. That's what we had. Okay, let me close this. Okay, so today the part 2. The last week we initially we had this, right? The list of the records. Let me close this. And today, what we will do here, we want to access the CoreData, local data, by search. So, right. So rather than working on the list of data, we want to enter the data that we want to access, say Yoon and password John, then we can log in. And then we're welcome to home screen. And then if you log out, click on log out, then we can go back to the original. And right now, currently this is a login page. And if I want to create a new account, which means if an account is not available, don't have an account, but I want to register, this is also clickable. So when I click this, then this button is changed to register from login to register. And here I can do new ones. For example, if I want to show what do I want to do? New York. I want to say New York is the login name, and password is Dobbs-Ferry. And I can say register. Then authentication, registration successful, and OK. And then if I want to log in, I can do login. Because I didn't do anything, but let me first take a look at the database, okay? SQLite DB browser. So I copy this and go back here, and I want to do, because the device is changed, emulator is changed, real database must be the new ones. When I click this, then browse data. See here, the username is New York, and password is Dobbs-Ferry. I didn't put there any timestamps. That's okay for this case. This is what we had, right? So if I want to log in again, let's assume that this is not there. I'm going to put New York, and then Dobbs-Ferry here, and then the login. Then it is successfully logged in. But if I try to do, rather than New York, say new, I want to new and the same password, login, and it says authentication, invalid username and password. And OK. If it is not case, then I may be able to newly register, or I can change the credentials so that I can log in, right? This is what I work on with you today. So what we need to do, we need to make, because the content view has been changed, right? In the part 1 that we looked at the last week, we started with the list of the database records, right? Today, what about we want to search? That's what we did, right? Because of that, we need to make a model. Auth view model is another file. So you can use that. And then there is another home view. Remember that when it is logged in successfully, then on the second view, there is a button. Then we can come back, right? So what I mean by that there, let me show this to you. Here, new York and Dobbsbury and log in and go to this the navigation to the next view, and then there is a, but this is called the home view, right? So it shows the result of that the authentication verifications, and then we can go back to the original there. In this home view, additionally, if it is authenticated, we want to display a photo. Okay, how can we make it? That's what we want to do today. So this is view for login. Remember that we have. Let me bring that again. I want to explain this while you can see. Okay, this is username. That is this. Oh, this is not that one, right? The first text, this is not the text field. The second one here, there's a text field, which is a text field here. This is a text. So either login or register, depending upon, if I click this register, then it'll come to register. If I click this login, then it'll be login. So depending upon is registering, this is a toggle. Is registering, there is a boolean. Depending upon that, either I can say register or login. The second item in that vertical text, this is a vertical text. This is a text field, secure field, and then there's a button, right? So in the text field, there's a username, and get the username, and password, get the password. And then button here. So button, from here, that is one button, and there is another button, right? Let me explain the last button here. That is this. Don't have an account. Don't have an account or already accounts. So if I click this, then already have an account, then login. Then we can log in, right? If we don't have an account, then we can click for the register. That's what we can see here. Okay. The foreground color blue, on the background white color. One above, the register. That is a button. So if it is a registering, then we can go to auth model, auth view model. There is another class, and then there is a the method, the register. If it is registering, then we go to register. If it is not registering, which means login, then we go to authenticates. Okay, so we expect two method there. Okay, either register or authenticates. Whichever that is, this is the display. It displays depending upon the it is registering. One time register and another time login. And then if it is if I log in, then we give an alert. So we can display. There's a pop-up. Remember the pop-up button there. So for example here, if I say Yoon, John, this is login. So if I click login, then login there. Okay. Let's say John John, login. Then there is an authentication result, invalid username and password, right? So the message that comes from auth view model, whatever that gives in that register or authentication, if it is not, if it is proved invalid, then there is a alert message is chosen from there, and that displayed here. In this case, invalid username and password, right? And yeah, and then it go to all of this. It go to full screen cover is depending upon this. If it is authenticated, it's authenticated and go to home view. Okay. From this author view model, this is another file there. We look at that. There, it tells me authenticated. Then see here, this author view model is nothing but an object of this author view model. From there, it says either authenticated or not. Then it goes to the next pages. If it is authenticated, then it goes to the next page. If it is not authenticated, then we can say, hey, invalid username and password. Okay. If it is authenticated here, although we can have some alert messages, but it is not. Instead of this, I think it directly go to the next home view. Okay, home view. When you go to home view, in the next page, go here, and then we can say, if it's the case of Yoon, login, and go to next. So the first text is a welcome, and then next page, next text, you have successfully logged in, and then next one is button. In this button, there's a log out. So this is the label of that button, and it says if it is authenticated, when you come here, it is already authenticated. Therefore, we reset to false. When you go back, then it is unauthenticated, right? Because already authenticated. So we need to reset this authenticated value. Originally, it is false, but on this auth view model file, if it is authenticated, it must check, hey, this value is authenticated variable to be reset to true. Because it is true, we come back here. Once we come back here, then we need to set it back to false. This is given default Boolean values. After this, and then we navigate. We need to go back. Okay, navigation bar, back, button hidden. So we need to go back. Now we need to look at author view models. Remember here, author is authenticated, originally false. Okay, probably somewhere here, register and authenticated. Then we said is authenticated, then we said true. And therefore, it tells me the true. The first function that we look at, register, and next function is authenticates, right? If it is registers, Then we need to use that the variable context. Well, actually, this is more accurately, it is called the constant. Constant is like a variable, but fixed value to it, so that we can say let rather than var. There's a persistent color dot shared container view context. This is what we looked at last week. Same as that. So this register brings username and password. Remember that earlier. If it is registered, then we need to call this function with the username and password, right? This is username. This is a variable names used when it is called. How register function is defined. Register function it's the same as that. Anyway, so username is a function, string, and password is a string, and we fetch user if there is no username. If there is a username, then already exists. If it is not username, then we need to make new user. New user is nothing but the user object is created. Okay, and then user.username is something that we got this username, right? And then password that we got there, that goes into user.username and new user.username, new user.password. That those two values are set. Therefore, database can be updated, right? There is a value of that. And then fetch, when username is asked, then we can return user. So how can we fetch it? Here is a fetch request. That is user.fetch request. This is a table entry. Because this is a table entry, it has a method available, fetch request. To this fetch request, we want to create a predicate, some condition. Okay, selection conditions. The condition for selection is username equals some value. That value is nothing but username. Okay, so that it is very similar to select from user, uppercase user, select username where username is this username. That username comes from here, that username. That when this function is called, we call this function with the arguments. That is saying, for example, we fetch user and we give the username that we receives. Okay. So that username is assigned here. If I say John, then if I say Yoon, then Yoon will replace this. If we say computer, then computer will replace this. So percent and @ together, that will be one parameter. So we set up the SQL statements, likely SQL statements based upon this. Okay. So this object goes into this fetch method and return the first name. First name is password in our case, right? So when we come back here, if it doesn't return, which means what does that mean? If we say Yoon, then Yoon returns that, right? So if it is not nil, so already not if it is not nil, which means it returns the user password, which means it already existed, right? If it doesn't return, when I try to fetch, for example, tomato, okay? Tomato is the username, but there is no tomato. Then there is no first name corresponding to tomato last name. Therefore, it returns nil. If it returns nil, which means it is not true. Therefore, we add the username and password. That will be the newly created usernames, right? And then finally, we save it. And we can say registration successful. And then show alert true. Show alert, depending upon show alert. I think here, somewhere here. Not here, maybe. Yeah, show alert originally false. Okay. Show alert true. Well, actually, the alert messages, then sometimes we can say user already exists. Some other times we can say alert messages, registration successful, failed the register and try again. Those are the messages. Show alert, it can be used. Button, okay, so it's registering. Yeah, here, show alert. So we alert this message if show alert is true. Okay, when this message comes, that message popped up when this becomes true. Registration successful. Failed to register. User already exists, right? Those are the case. Then that pop-up message is alert. And then this is the example of those that we looked at already. And then this is the database. There's a register case. This is a login case. And then display photo correspondingly. Then we need to do bring any photo that show your face. Okay. In my case, this is me, right? So I bring that up here. When you click this asset, and then you name it, the file name should be the last name. Okay. Therefore, in your home view, remember that when you go to here, this is a home view. I want you to put here your photo, okay? Before you say anything else. The user photo, we need to get the user photo by username. That's what we have. You can name your photo differently. Then you need to put that file name here. But I want to the display photo when that user is successfully logged in. So I use that username, get the photo, and that photo is displayed by image. Image is another class. This is some declaration of that images. Resizable, scaled to fit frame, the width 200 points, heights 200, and then clip shape, round rectangles, shadow radius 5, and paddings. If there is no photo for this particular user, then if you have a default photo, it is called the default photo, then that photo can be displayed. So in the author view model, we need to use username and password. That should be set when user. This is not the either register or authentications, right? There we need to say, because it is authenticated, we can say, hey, username is this. This username is used to display photo of that. When authenticated, then user needs to be displayed here. User photo needs to be displayed there. Therefore, we can have this. Okay. So, as a summary, from the 2 sessions of the class, we discussed about the CoreData. There's a database available on the iPhone device. There we want to do insertion and deletion and retrieval. 2 ways that we can implementations. First one is we first display all the records, and then we implemented the +4 addition function and edit for the deletion functions. This is what we did the last week, and then today we'll look at provide the user text field. User may request the information about that user, okay, and search that user from the CoreData database. If it is not, then we can register it. So either register or access. That's what we had last week. Okay, so this is the concept of those, and then we will do real implementation with all the understanding of that code. Okay, so using that code, we will look at that. Okay. Okay, now implement the part 2. So what we will do is we're going to continue to work. I'm going to bring up the implementation that we did last week. Okay. So first thing that we need to do is to change this, the content view. The previously we made a list of this the records listed the database record from the fetch the users, right? Fetch result users. So for each in these items, so we list that. So we start with the total, the entire list of the records. So we're not going to with that, but I am okay. This also we don't need. Add user views. Let's see. I don't think we need all of this. I'm going to remove this and then okay. So we have a navigation view, and then we have the viz tag, and then let's say spacing. So spacing is about 20. And in that, the first text, remember that we put there either register or login. So we say is, we need to make a one toggle, is registering. If it is registering, then we can say register. Otherwise, we call that login. Therefore, is registering should be I don't think any of this needed. Okay. So I don't think we need this either. Okay, so first thing that we need to do is state, and yeah, variable is boolean. So that is the first text, and then next one is a text field. And then we can say username. And then text is username. And next one is secure field. Password, and that's a password. Okay, so username and password needs to be here. And then state username string, again password string. This guy is doing well. Okay, and then button. So depending upon button and action, and depending upon is registering. If it is registering, then we say I want to go to auth view model. So what we need to do is we need to make a author view model. I want to give this to you. So author view model and come back here. Okay, author view model. This is author view model. Okay. So in the content view, we first declare saying state objects and private variable auth view model equals that author view model. Author view model. So from this, the class constructor, we need to make an object. Therefore, we call that state object. The other simply state variables. So author view models. And then here, if it is registering, then we can say author view model dot register user. Register has a username and password. Come back here. That is register has a username and password. So we need to assign that username is username and password is password. And then else, which means login. Then we'd say author model dot authenticate and user is username, and then password is password. And then there is another button. There's a missing. Yeah, we need to save here the label, right? We can say text is registering register, otherwise login, which is good. And then we need to put a lot. Is presented then if auth view model has a show a lot, if it is a set, then we need to here a lot title, and then I can say text. We say authentications, and then message is user text message, and this is automatically done. Okay, that is this. Okay, and then this is that. So from this, from there, and this is that. expected that. I think we need one more. This. Yeah. Okay. And then we have another button, right? Button and action is registering toggle. Then we can say text to registering is registering. Is registering. Then we can say already have an account. Already have an account. Login. Either login or we can say don't have an account. Therefore, we'll say register. Okay. Now let's put here some declaration. So foreground color. Foreground color, we can say blue. And among this two buttons, and then secure field, text field, we need to make a space. So this is from here, there, and that is there, right? So I need to put here, is it? This is over there, and I'm going to make here and spacer. This section, I would say navigation bar title, authentication. I think that's good. Authentication. All right. And then here, full screen cover is presented auth view model is authenticated, and I would say it's authenticated. Then we need to do home view. So into home view, we need to make a home view first, right? So home view, I'm going to give it to you in the home view. So back here again, home view. In this home view needs this auth models, right? So come back here. Home view needs auth model, and then real auth model is auth model. Okay, and then a little bit more the GUI declaration here. Say font, I would say that is large title, and then bold, and then text field. I can say text field style, and round style, that's fine. And then padding, I would put here dot horizontal, and this is remains the same as this text field, so I would simply use it. And then button text, I would say frame with max width and that infinity, and then padding, and then background, and then we can say color, the blue, and the foreground color is white, corner radius 5, padding again horizontal. A lot looks okay, and then button, okay, looks good. And then the author model that as we looked at here, it receives username and password for registration. And when there is no the return for that user, which means there is no password, then we can create new user and then call this save functions, so it'll be saved. For authentications, and we need to fetch username, then it returns user's password, right? That user password is the same as given password here. If they are matched, then authentication is true. Otherwise, it is not true. By default, this is false. Instead, we set the alert messages and fetch users with the username conditions, and we try the fetch and then return the first name, okay, like a password. Home view, then it has a welcome messages and the result of that authentications, and then we can say if this guy wants to go out, log out. If it is a log out, then we need to go back by having this. Okay, let's try to see. Oops, there is an error. Okay, cannot find the context view scope. Where is? I don't think we need this, right? In the context view, this is the previous ones. So we don't need this. We don't need this delete item either. We don't need this. This has been used for the previous. Add user, same thing. is item formats. Leave it there. But we don't really need it, I guess. I think we need to have one more. Yes. I think all gone. So our content view looks okay. And I'm going to run this. Oh, done, success. Okay, let's see the database here. Come back here, go folder, use the new ones, enter database. There's a browser, user browser. We have this. Okay, so I can try, for example, let's say I want to register. We have authentication only and register. I want to register. Okay, username USA and password again USA and register. That's well registered. And then I want to see, okay, we have a USA, right? And then if I want to use the same as that and log in, then I can go log in so that we can log out. Okay. The one of the extension from here, when there is a the images, then we can bring that images here, photo. Okay, for Yoon I have mine. Okay, if I don't have mine, then we need to say something else by default. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to remove this. So what we did everything so far here, and then we need to do photo, right? Okay. Okay, final improvement of this the app development is to include the photo images, and then as a user is successfully logged in, then the corresponding photo image will be rendered on your the application view. Okay, so bring the same project here. I think I need to first to include the images. I prepared the images. Actually, 3 images, 4 images. So I'm going to bring 4 images here. Okay, so all together. And this image is called the default photo And this is for Mercy, this is USA, this is Yun, so myself. I want you to have your image, at least one of your images, okay? So that I can meet you while I am creating your work. Okay, first I need to do on this home view. Okay, in the home view, I want to put the images on top. So I want to make if let user, I need to get the user photo first, right? So by the way, I need to get a function. So function that you can get that. So I'm going to put that function somewhere here. Okay, it's called get user photo. So for the username, okay, and if there is the images available, if it is not nil, then we return the photo name. Photo name is, in this case, username. Username is assigned to photo name and find out that photo name. If it is non-nil, then photo name is a username, otherwise nil, right? So we need to call that, okay, here, whether that get user photo name, here I need to get that once from auth view model, because when auth view model has a username, then I think I need to go back to the auth view model here, and then I need to make a published, so that it'll be published to, oh, it's so smart. And then password. Password is not necessarily, but I want to put that together. And I believe if it is authenticated, then I would say self.username equals that username, and self.password will be that password if they are fully matched. Okay, then I'll come back here. Then that auth models can be that once. Okay. If it is the case, then I would say images equals user photo and the resizable, and I would frame with I think 200 by 200 rather than 100, and then I will put a scalable scale to fit. Otherwise, I would say that images, I'll put here default photo. Okay. I'm gonna put more there. Instead of a circle, I'm gonna put that. And then this circle shape I want to put here. If it is not, if there is no photo given, then we can put that. And others with this clip shape. Others, I want to put that. Copy here. Okay, other than this, I'm going to put the others. Put here. Let's see if it works. All right. Came up. It takes a little time. Oops. Why? Database access to well. Let's see. I don't want to put here. Username is Yoon. Password John. Directly log in. Yep, my photo came up. If I want to put here, let's see what I have here. Again, it's not this. Maybe this one. Oh, I have a USA. Let's see if I have USA. Login the USA. And what else? I think I have. What do I have? Let's see. Asset. Mercy. Do I have a Mercy? Oh, Mercy and Cyber. So what I do here. Mercy and Cyber. Login. Okay, good. What else I have? Mercy USA. Yeah, I got all, and I want to put the default, maybe Cyber Engineer, because Cyber Engineer is not available. So login name is Cyber, and password. If password is not matched, then of course it doesn't go to the next view. Only it is successfully logged in, right? So Cyber Engineer, then go to, and then this is the default. Okay, remember that I put there default photo. That is that one. Okay, so it works, and this will be your next homework assignments. All right, thank you. See you later.